Warning. The Dragon Between podcast may contain language and adult humor that is unsuitable for those 13 years and younger. Viewer discretion is advised. You're listening to the Dragon Between podcast, a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign that takes place in the Eberron pulp fantasy setting created by Keith Baker. New episodes are recorded every Sunday and are released on the following week. You can find the video version on the YouTube channel. And if you like what you see and hear, feel free to drop us a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter for updates and news on the podcast. Thank you for listening, and now on with the show.
On entering the Gutter Guts Tavern and Inn, the characters all began to settle in and partake in the shared frivolity. Lathana and Zito began a drinking contest with licorice, culminating with the Sprite and Lathana passing out on the bar and Zito victorious.
Red was reunited with her close friends, Talon and Swift, a pair of shifter siblings, traveling under the names Almond and Rain. The duo explained that they had been sent for by Moonspeaker Aurora to investigate the whereabouts of missing members of the shifter community. Talon then asked Red to assist them in their task.
Ender has a drink with the samurai Jahat and Radaban, and is pressured to try his luck with Bob the Worm, to which he politely declines. Eli is approached by a goblin hunter named Argat, who offers a politely dangerous but lucrative job, or potentially dangerous but lucrative job, killing an enormous aberrant worm. The goblin trio explain they intend to begin the hunt in a few days. Eli then excuses himself and heads off to discuss his potential job with his companions.
Zito and Ender chat with the strange hairy goblin called Puckle, and then try their luck with the strongest alcohol in the establishment, a drink called Corluat, or Hero's Blood. The duo feels the very insides torn asunder as they consume the substance, much to the amusement of Music, who then purchases the remainder of the drink from Mock and Knock.
Eli pressures the goblet Argat about the offered job, wishing to know who his employer is and why they would be interested in purchasing aberrant creatures. It's revealed that someone from the Arcane Congress, or the organization itself, had hired the hunter and his kin. This mysterious benefactor had given the Grunsnicht boys a month to deliver live and deceased specimens to them, and the Great Worm was the last one.
After a tense conversation with Argat, the goblin offered to cover Eli and his companion's bar tab. As the denizens of the tavern cheered on Ender and Zito for their feat of consuming Hero's Blood, an unusual half-orc wearing an insect nest as a head covering entered the establishment. The group observed the crowd give the individual a wide berth, whispering the name Maggie, as she shifted towards a table of her own, a cloud of flying insects buzzing and following behind her.
So you have all just finished watching the crowd set Ender down after they carried him around through the establishment, and you all as well observed the hushed tones as folk within the tavern all gave reverence to this newcomer, this Maggie, as she shuffled in and sat down at one of the tables. And as she is shuffling by, she shuffles by the table where the shifter brother and sister were seated. And she looks in their direction and then sees you, Red. And you recognize her as the Torn Druid, which you have mentioned to the group before.
Oh, Red will walk up to her and kind of, bow her head respectfully. Mad Maggie, this one is pleased to see you again.
Red, dear. I'm so happy to see you. Here, you look too thin. Eat this.
And she now reaches into a satchel at her side and pulls out a just a wad of what looks like moss. And when she hands it to you, the moss suddenly shimmers and begins to give off this aroma that smells like candy or cookies. And as soon as the aroma hits your nostrils and you inhale it, like your stomach starts to burble and you're like, oh, just realizing it's been a while since you've eaten anything.
This one is grateful. Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome. It's been some time since I've seen you. Been off adventuring, getting into all sorts of trouble.
Trouble did find this one, unfortunately. Not so much me finding it. But, and I kind of gesture behind me, it also found me some good new friends.
I see. Reconnecting with your community. I see these two. I'm not familiar with you, and who are you, and what are you doing here in my village?
She gestures towards, not looking in your direction, Aura. She's looking in the direction of Talon and Swift, who have been given you and Red these assumed names of Almond and Rain. And they both straighten up now. And Almond, speaking in that common Corvair human dialect, says, I'm Almond. This is Rain. We're from beyond the marches. We're here on official business for Moonspeaker Aurora. And Rain nods her head as well. They both seem a bit nervous around this person. And as you're looking at this half-orc, you just watch as she just sort of absent-mindedly plucks a wasp that was crawling down from her nest head covering onto her face. She just sort of plucks it off and flings it away absent-mindedly, and it starts to buzz and fly off and buzz around with the rest of the clouds of insects that are buzzing closer to you. They seem to be getting braver as she's been standing in one spot, and they've been getting closer to each of you.
Music is terrified, by the way.
Music? You're terrified?
Yes. Oh, yes, I am. The woman is crawling in bugs. Oh my god, I can't get out of here.
And she looks at you, Red, for a moment, and then she looks to you, Auri. And she just sort of gently moves closer to you and reaches out with a hand to take yours and says,
I don't believe that I have the privilege of knowing you, child. Who are you?
I'm Ariane. That's fun. I'll just put my hand in her hand.
she takes your hand and she immediately pats it with her other as she takes in the crook of her elbow, she leans her walking stick and she pats it a few times and she says,
Charmed. So nice to see Red getting more friends. Are you here for long, Red? Or are you off on yet another adventure?
This one hopes to help the village some before I continue on my way. I heard there are shifters going missing. There's worms plaguing our people.
There are many
I intend
threats.
to take care of the problem.
Oh? Just you?
Well, this one and I kind of gesture vaguely at my companions passed out, standing around.
And they're
this
all
one's
just kind
done.
of scattered around the tavern. The tavern itself is big enough that you kind of have to like find them in the crowd and point to them.
Like, this one is sure you can tell they stand out, do they not?
Oh, this collection of characters that call this place a place of respite and rest, and I have seen many a folk come in go, but yes, you are correct. They're very colorful indeed. Well, after you get settled, Red, if you would come up and visit me at the spire, that would be lovely. We have much to discuss.
This one will do as you've asked.
Thank you, dear. Well, if there's nothing else, I am going to go and have myself a bit of something to eat and drink and just sort of rest my old bones.
This one understands. Enjoy. I'll kind of offer a hand, like if she needs help to get over where she's going.
And she gratefully takes it. With bracing herself as she walks with the other stick, she reaches out and grabs your hand. And as you and Auri have been watching her, I'm assuming we're still at that table with the other two shifters. You can see that this woman is absolutely filthy. She looks like she sleeps in the forest. She has brambles stuck in her clothing. And as you've been looking at her closer, Auri, you notice something interesting about her face.
What do I notice about it?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What do I notice about it?
Can anybody else hear Anna?
No.
She's fixing her stuff.
No worries.
You hear me now?
Can kind of hear you. It seems really like muffled or... Those pesky audio settings. I have to go through a whole bunch of them whenever I start my computer.
You hear me now?
That's a bit better, yes.
A little bit.
If it helps, you sound like you're underwater slightly.
Talking through a glass of water.
Is that any better?
Hey! Loads better.
Okay, cool. Alright, I was saying, what do I notice about her face?
Okay, sure. Besides the odd patina of her skin tone, which is sort of like an orangish color, which sort of washes out to gray. Like it's sort of a mottled orange around the chin and the mouth. And then as it gets higher up towards the cheekbones and her nose, it sort of starts to become a bit lighter, almost like a peachy color into gray. And you can see her eyes, but they're sort of blocked into this rat's nest of black hair. And she has these odd tattoos that seem drawn on. It's almost as if someone took a mascara pen and just started drawing lines around her eyes, just above her cheekbones. And some of the lines sort of come down. They don't seem to have any sort of a discernible pattern. It seems haphazard. and it goes down the cheekbones on the sides, along where you would see potentially mutton chops. In fact, the hair just kind of like blends in with it.
That's interesting.
And she gives you when you look at her, she gives you a sort of a bit of a sly little smile, and you could almost swear that she winks at you from beneath that mop of black hair.
I'll just smile back at her and nod.
And as you do, she takes her hand out of Red's hand, she gestures, and one of her wasps begins flowing and buzzing over towards you, and starts to buzz above one of your hands.
Okay, so I'm going to look closer at it and make sure it's actually a wasp, I guess.
Okay. It looks like a wasp. It looks like a flying insect. Although it seems to be shimmering a bit. And it's starting to get smaller. And it looks like it's about to drop out of the air just above your hand. Would you like to catch it?
Yes.
Okay. The moment that you catch it, it becomes a chocolate that's shaped like a wasp. And immediately begins to become softer in the warmth of your hand.
Well, I'm going to look back up at her and I'm going to smile bigger than I did the first time, and I'm going to eat it right away.
It has a bit of a crunch to it. It tastes like a nut of some sort, and the sort of a bittersweet, not too sweet, almost a natural tasting candy, chocolate. Chocolate in itself is a bit of a hard to come by all on its own. It's almost a delicacy in most places. So it's odd to you. It seems a bit odd to you that, number one, this bug just turned into a piece of chocolate. And number two, this person would know what chocolate is.
Alright, you just eat a bug?
No, it turned into this sweet candy thing.
That was a bug.
Well, it didn't taste like a bug.
And Red, she eventually thanks you for leading her to a table. She takes the table the furthest away from anyone in this establishment in the corner, away from the Shifter siblings table. And she lets you go about your business.
I'll head back to the shifters. And I'll go and kind of lower my voice. This one, she did not seem pleased to see you. Is there something wrong between you and Miss Maggie?
Talon / Almond. I'm just going to keep calling him Talon from now on, even though he goes by Almond as well. It's just easier to remember. He immediately, looks away from you. And Swift says, "It is not for me to say. It's not my business. It's between my brother and Miss Maggie. Let's just say Talon has diminished himself in her eyes. As we have only been here a short time, he is already making a fool of himself, as you have already seen with your pretty young friend."
This one is sure that you can regain your honor.
And Talon doesn't say anything. He just continues looking. He's now grabbed his mug of ale, and realizing that it's empty after trying to take a gulp and only getting a sip, a few drops, and he immediately says, "I'll be right back." Gets up and begins to walk over towards the bar to order another drink. So Swift looks at you, Red, and says, "Well, I won't take up any more of your time. I'm sure you're tired from your journey. We will be in town. We don't have any plans to leave anytime soon. We will be focusing our energy exploring the deep wood. If you can assist us sooner rather than later, that would be most welcome."
This one will do her best.
"I know that you will, Red." And she again reaches out, grips the back of your neck, and pulls your forehead in and rubs her forehead against yours. And Auri, you can hear this female shifter is audibly purring like a great big cat. And she allows you to excuse yourselves and go back to your companions if you want to.
Yeah.
Apparently Ender is also drifting off into dreamland, falling asleep at the bar. Either next to or not too far away from a snoring ranger, half-elf.
We've earned it.
I would say so. So what would you all like to do now?
We should probably find them some place to rest. I think they're out for the night.
A few of your companions do seem to be a bit indisposed at the moment.
I'd go to get Lathana and, like, sling her over my shoulder to take her to find a room for Mock and Knock.
That's easy enough to do. If you wanted to set up a room for the evening, you can.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll carry Zito, and then I'll look at Ender, try and think, like, could I, should I, and then go back and ask Red if she can help me with him.
This one will come back for the samurai.
So Mackinac will set you all up with as many rooms as you like. It'll cost you 2 gold apiece for a nice room.
Okay.
If that's what you wish to do.
Red will hand over the gold for everybody. This one is not sure when the party will end for the rest, but their room is covered when they're ready.
Okay. So I assume that you let the rest of your companions know that they have rooms now at this establishment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll go sling Lathana into a bed, and I'll come back for Ender.
Okay. Aw.
I'll tuck Zito in gently as well and get him a big glass of water to put by the bed.
That's so adorable. So music, it looks like you and Eli are the only ones still awake in this establishment at the moment. The rest of your companions have all headed off upstairs.
I'm gonna follow suit and go ahead and rest up for the next day.
Okay. And what about you, Eli?
Well, music. I was gonna talk to you.
Okay, what's up, buddy?
Oh, music. Hey, you in a betting mood?
I'll be honest with you, Eli. I've only got 5 gold left in my name, If the stakes are low, I'm down.
How much do you think that if I put my hand in the purple worm for 12 seconds, it won't bite me?
I'll bet the 5 gold.
All right. Eli will walk over and put his hand in.
Oh, you're putting your hand. You're putting your hand in the basin.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I've got 25 gold, actually, now that I look at it. I'll bet you the full 25.
So what is your bet exactly?
Around like, anyone? I'm going to keep my hand in there for 12 seconds.
Oh, for 12 seconds? Okay.
That's 2 rounds.
All right.
Anyone else?
Now, you're just putting your hand in there. You're not trying to go for those tokens that you saw the half-orc yank out of the basin? You're not trying to...
Oh, you can go for tokens?
Yep, that's why they play the game. They play the game to get free drinks.
Oh, yes, okay. I'll go for tokens.
Okay, make an investigation check. Actually, you can make 2 investigation checks. Let's see what happens with the first one. Okay.
I love it.
So, music you watch as Eli begins pulling back the arm of his robe so he doesn't get it dirty. And he chucks his arm down into the mud. And he has this look of just this pleased look on his face. And then, Eli, you hear a weird snapping noise, and you feel something touch your wrist, and then you can feel a pressure that becomes uncomfortable, then painful, then unbearable, and you take 25 piercing damage. And it is currently hanging off of your wrist as you yank your arm up. This thing is hanging off your wrist for a few moments before it lets go. It was an auto attack.
What do you like? What do you mean?
Like it automatically hit.
Oh, you forced it to roll a 1.
What's that? Oh, you want to force it to roll a 1?
Force it to roll a 1. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I was gonna force it to roll a 1.
Oh, okay. At least it wasn't an auto crit.
I see in the future.
Okay.
And I see where I'm gonna put my hand.
Well, in that case, Eli, you yank your wrist out just before you feel this thing close its mouth over your wrist. This wasn't so much it lunges at your arm and bites you. This is more of it gently puts its mouth over your wrist. It almost seems like and it did, but you managed to pull your hand out of its mouth. Like, it doesn't press down. You're able to quickly pull your hand away before it presses down. This seems like a practiced thing. Like, perhaps this thing has been trained not to just haphazardly attack people when they reach into it. It's a very strange experience.
How long was it in for?
How long did that happen?
Yes. How long did he have his hand down there before he pulled it out?
Within the span of 6 seconds. So, and what it took to take an action, essentially.
Ha! You owe me 25 gold.
Yes, I'll pay you.
Eli, your arm from elbow down to your hand is completely dripping with this muck that sloughs off, dripping on the floor. Wherever you pull your arm out, it's dripping around the edges of the basin.
I'll look around and I say, 100 gold for one more time?
And as you say that, a couple of the samurai had begun to crowd in, looking at you with sort of like this expectant look on their face, smiles, laughing, cajoling. And the gentleman that you saw when you first entered the establishment with the weird hair, he walks up to you and says, "Betting I can bob the worm now? I didn't know that was allowed."
Sorry. I didn't know that we weren't allowed to bet on Bob the Worm.
Hey, Mockanock, when did we start betting on Bob the Worm? And there's this sort of a thump, 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 thump as Mockanock begins getting closer, and you hear a guttural, "What?" And then Nock says, begging your pardon, stranger, there's no betting allowed on Bob the Worm. It's a game of chance and skill, yes, but we don't allow any sort of gambling when it comes to that. You gamble with your the health of yourself, so to speak, in attempting to snatch a token. I apologize, the game wasn't explained to you, so I will excuse your slight. You had no idea.
Apologize. I'm sorry.
It's perfectly okay.
I'll give music 25 gold.
And then Nock looks at you and says, "He didn't hurt you, did you?"
Oh, no, he didn't.
No one explained this to you, right?
No one explained nothing to me.
Oh, okay. Well, come here. And gestures for you to get closer.
I'll get closer.
Bob won't actually hurt you. This is something that we do to try to get the locals to spend more money. The boys, they come in and they rile themselves up. And it's that whole sense of danger that it might happen, but it's a bit of a joke around my establishment at this point.
Ah, I see.
His stinger has been burnt off.
Makes sense.
If you catch my drift, I can't have bodies piling up in my establishment. Even at that young of an age, a purple worm's venom can kill practically half of the people in this establishment.
Yeah. Yes, it can.
A lot of lawsuits, if you understand.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, I'll be heading to bed. Sorry about that.
It's perfectly okay. You were 100% safe. I'm just sorry that I didn't get a chance to explain it to you. And Nock now winks at you. Mock this entire time has been looking at Nock with this look of shock. Like this is the first time Mock has ever heard this information. Or is just shocked at this conversation between the two of you. And the Etten now begins thumping away from you and continuing to take drink orders.
Hey, Eli, let's cast Restoration on it.
Restoration on the worm?
Yeah, it'll be hilarious.
Okay, I'm down.
You want to cast Restoration on it?
Yeah, I'm gonna heal that stinger.
So how does are you just casting Restoration, not Greater Restoration?
Let me see what I have. I have Lesser Restoration. I wonder if that would do it.
I think Lesser Restoration just heals a curse.
What about Cure Wounds?
Meh. This is less of a wound and more of a something that was, if you to take Nock's meaning, that was done permanently to it. Nothing short of like a regeneration would restore what has been done. It's kind of like when you take a ferret and you remove its stink sacs.
After thinking about it for a second, I'm like, Eli, come on, man, that ain't gonna work. You knew that wasn't gonna work too.
Yeah, I'll just mess with you.
Man, you make me feel dumb sometimes. Let's get out of here.
Okay, so the two of you want to finish up your business down in the tavern and head upstairs?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll follow music.
Okay. Taking the direction that was given to you by Red before she retired for the evening, you're able to find your rooms in the establishment upstairs, the top of this place. And unless there's anything that you would like to do in your room before we take a long rest, I will advance time and mark you all as taking a long rest.
I'm ready for the long rest.
Ender sounds like he's ready. As he
Yeah, I'm good.
as he whispers in his sleep.
I'm good. Zito's already out.
All right. Okay. So you all are able to regain your vitality. It is the next day, Mole, and you all wake up at your various times, feeling refreshed and ready to start a new day in Heartholm. One by one, you all, unless there's something that you do that you wish to explain before you all assemble downstairs, is there anything any of you would like to do?
Zito is going to tiptoe around Ari because he doesn't remember why Ari's in his room.
I don't think... yeah. Okay. Make a stealth check. Okay, Zito, as you are very carefully walking around the room, gathering your belongings as quietly as you possibly can, you trip over Auri.
Oh no, I don't drop stuff on her, do I?
I don't know. Auri, you suddenly, your eyes snap wide awake as something small hits you and is now prostrate, leaning over you. It's it's like having a small dog, like a corgi, laying on your stomach.
You all right there, Zito? Still feeling it from last night, huh?
Feeling what from last night?
You drink a lot. You drink that poison stuff.
Poison what? Do you mean that mug that I had with Latana?
No, the one you had with Ender. It was pretty bad. You just kept going and going and going. Yeah. I'm surprised you stayed awake as long as you did, honestly.
I don't remember any of that.
Well, do you
My
feel
stomach's
okay?
killing me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wonder what we can scrounge together for breakfast. I feel like maybe getting something there would probably help it out.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's head down.
Okay.
So nothing happened in this room last night, Ari, did it?
Nope. Just brought you over here, and you kept whispering stuff about making sure you were safe from the bed bugs. So I thought it was best not to leave.
All right. Well, thanks for staying, Ari.
No problem.
So the two of you make your way downstairs?
Yeah.
Okay. What about the rest of you?
I see them come out of the room together and say, "Oh, somebody had an interesting night."
Interspecies romance.
I mean, it wasn't that interesting. No bugs actually came. I was prepared for battle, though.
What the? Never mind.
And I thought I would go downstairs and go up to Mock and Knock and ask if they have any kind of minty tea. You know, I've got that kind of briny taste in my mouth from yesterday. Ugh.
So when you get down, what is that noise? When you get downstairs, you are not greeted by the familiar sight of Mackinac. Instead, you are greeted by the diminutive and familiar form of Millie, the kobold that you all met yesterday at the mayor's house, who is now standing behind the counter and has these devices festooned to the bottoms of her feet so that she can be at the same height as a typical humanoid individual. And she looks at you and gives you a very pleasant smile and nod. Looks to you, love. Is there anything that you wanted, love?
Do you carry any minty tea by any chance?
Oh, I'm sure I could whip something together.
Thank you. You know, haven't brushed my teeth in a while.
Oh, it's perfectly all right. Is there anything else you're interested in? Possibly something to eat?
If
I
you
have
have...
a hunk of cheese. I have some biscuits, warm biscuits I just made. A bit of mush.
Cheese and biscuits sounds great. Thank you. And she
right.
pulls out...
Oh, we'll settle up later, dear. And she very quickly turns around, and you see her yelling out something in Kobold. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with your microphone. I guess it's either the connection where your mic is connected to your phone. It gets all crackly.
It's also like it feels like one channel, like very high treble, almost like tinny. Yeah, it's a frick. I don't know what happened either. You had it perfect, I thought.
It was the best that we've heard in such a long time. But in the meantime, she settles up with you, gets you your drink, your food. It comes floating out on a tray once again to you. You've seen a lot of trays of food and drink that are just sort of floating around this establishment. What about the rest of you?
Red would load the kids up in their little pouch thing to try to start heading towards the I think seamstress. She was.
Kits, you wanted to head over towards Kits?
Yeah.
Okay. You're just heading out by yourself?
Yeah, I'll turn to whoever's around as I'm coming down. This one needs to find something a bit more child friendly for these two. I'll be back soon. You can find me at Kit's.
Okay. Zito, what are you doing? Checking for bugs?
Yeah, so Zito's gonna double check himself for bugs. No, he doesn't remember that.
Okay.
Zito is going to sit at the counter next to Lathana, and I guess she's gonna keep questioning Ari as to what exactly happened last night.
Okay.
I'm telling you, you drank this crazy hero blood stuff. Ender drank it too. Ender, do you remember last night?
Yeah, I have full memory from last night. I obviously drank.
Zeta doesn't quite believe that he drank that worm poison stuff.
What worm poison stuff?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Hey, Sabrina's mic works.
Hey.
And what's this? What did you say about bugs, Ari? When you said that to music. Were you fighting bugs?
Oh, I mean, I was prepared to. You seemed really concerned about them.
Strange bugs don't usually bother me.
Yeah.
There was a few more of those insect chocolates on the windowsill when you woke up this morning, Auri. You did notice that.
I made sure to just not point them out to Zito just in case they made him a little freaked out.
They almost seemed like they were left out specifically for one of you. Like they were just resting on a bit of cloth, like a small cloth napkin, and just sitting there on the windowsill.
All right, I would have pocketed them, but I definitely did not make it obvious that I was near them because I don't want to freak out Zito.
What's Zito doing? Is he drinking or eating anything?
Zito's eating a breakfast right now.
Yeah, I would assume at this point, all of you, without having to yell it out, you've all ordered food and drink.
Well, I haven't.
Oh, obviously. Unless you want to. You can still make the mouth movements of chomping down on something, even if it doesn't really give you any sustenance.
If I happen to notice Ari looking at Zito when he goes to take a sip of his drink, I'm going to cast Minor Illusion to make it say Hero's Blood on the side.
Wait, so they call water or hero's blood?
Oh, wait, what? No. Oh, God. Music, can you explain to him what that stuff was? Didn't you buy the rest of it?
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see any Hero's Blood.
It was... But I swear you did. You all did. Did I drink it? Jeez.
Oh, I do remember you drinking something last night, and then you ate a bee.
Well, it wasn't a bee. It was a chocolate. It was candy. It was sweet. It was delicious.
You don't have to defend yourself to me. I was cheering you on when you ate that bee. I was like, eat them all.
No wonder why you were on the floor in my bed last night.
Sugar crash.
Nobody remembers the hero's blood. Really? Come on, guys.
What did you guys get into last night?
I don't know. All I remember was drinking with you, Lathana.
That was a good time.
Never. Everything else is kind of a blur.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
If I wanted to pull out the bottle of Hero's Blood and make sure only Ari saw it, grin at her and put it back, would that be sleight of hand?
Yes, sir. If you'd be so kind. Okay. Well, Auri definitely saw it. If Ender was paying attention, so did he.
Oh, you're the worst. You can't just let them think that they didn't do anything crazy last night. Now they're gonna do it again one day.
I'm going to use the spell message to send a message to her. If they know, they'll never do it again.
I don't want them to do it again.
Message again. I do.
I'm just gonna look at him really confused, but I won't say anything past that.
Ari, it's kind of really rude to stare at Warforged like that.
It's okay. I am quite dapper.
Speaking of Warforged, across the way, near the entrance, there's a table of individuals. They look mostly human, and they were all wearing darkened, sort of a royal blue robes. And they've just been sitting there at their table, going about their business, chit-chatting, and you all hear the thump, thump, thump as that Warforged from last night comes in, looks around, looks in the direction of those people, and immediately starts yelling at them. Get out! I told you I don't want to see you here again. Get out! You're not welcome here. And
Who's saying this again?
the Warforged, that very big Warforged that you all saw when you came into the establishment last night. The one that seemed to intimidate music a bit.
He still is.
And he's just hulking, and he waiting for a response. You're looking in his direction. He suddenly just punches the table hard, and you hear it visibly quake from the impact, and he says, "Now!" And one by one, the robed individuals get up and begin shuffling out in single file out of the establishment. And he watches as they leave, and you just look as he continues to stare out through the archway, out through the doors in the direction that they leave. And then he begins to straighten the table, straighten the chairs, and walks up to the bar and sits down and begins chatting with Millie.
Lithana is going to sit at the bar with the big Warforged guy and say, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, he regards you, turns and looks at you and nods as you sit down.
Oh, hey, good morning. I'm Lithana. I don't think we got to meet. I would frankly was a little tipsy last night, but nice to meet you.
Good morning. My name is Can Cooler, but everybody calls me Canner. And he reaches out to take your hand with his big, bulky construct hand.
Okay, this is a weird question. Would Lithana be intimidated by him? I don't know. Would she?
He dwarfs you. You are looking up at him, and he is looking down at you. And again, it's difficult to tell, to really sense menace with Warforged, because they don't really have emotes. They have a really stone face, if you will. So it's all in the timbre of their voice. So you could totally, like, through your passive insight or rolling an insight check on something that he says, you could sense whether or not he was being mean or angry or anything. At the moment, it's up to you if you feel intimidated. He's very big. He seems like he is bracing himself as if his own weight might be too much for the stool that he is resting a leg on. Like, he has it up and a foot is just sort of resting on the bottommost rung of the legs of this stool. And,
okay.
And he looks at you and he says, newcomers, you with that lot over there? And he gestures off in the distance towards the rest of your companions.
Yes, that's my my friends. Can't say I was too social last night, but I figured I'll get the run of the town or the daily gossip. I couldn't help but noticing those blue-hooded strangers that came in.
Those assholes? Yeah, you don't want to get mixed up with those assholes. Trust me, I know you're newcomers and you might be, let's just say, not familiar with our customs and how we do things around here, but you definitely don't want to get involved with them.
Who are they?
They're followers of some darn fool organization that just popped up recently in the marches.
They call themselves the Followers of the Twilight Forest. And they are affiliated with the organization that many of the shifters in this little village of ours have been running off to join, the Followers of the Churning Chaos.
Interesting, and that's where you've been losing a lot of your people, right?
Well, there's some sort of commune in the middle of the forest to the northeast. That's where many of them have gone off to. Some sort of compound. I've never seen it. I don't want to visit it. I don't know what fool would want to, especially when there are wares of all kinds apparently infesting the Deepwood.
Sounds like quite a cult-like organization. She just kind of laughs and smiles nervously.
He just starts to laugh, and he slaps the table with this thunderous clap of his construct hand hitting the wood. Ha! I like you. Yes, they're cults, for sure. You called it. You're smart.
Oh, thank you. I try, I guess. One more question for you.
Go ahead.
Let me see. I'm looking to see maybe today to see if I can find someone named Sleejack.
Yeah.
You know of him?
Her actually. Nasri Sleejak. It's a local artificer. A goblin. Damn good artificer. She has a shop in the marketplace. She usually spends most of her time there. Although today, it is Mole, isn't it? Yes, today, later on, they'll be running a race out into the Zaratan fields, so you might find her out there with a whole menagerie of construct vehicles.
Oh, yes, that's the race thing. Hey, Eli, Ender, Ari, Red, did you guys hear about that last night? Or maybe the mayor mentioned it.
And Canner looks past you, Eli, and clocks music. And just sort of, if a Warforged could wink, nods in your direction. Good morning.
Can Lithana discern what kind of wink this is?
You can make an insight check if you like.
As he says good morning, I'm going to turn around and say, good morning. Oh my God, don't eat me. And duck behind the table.
What's wrong with your friend?
He's new to this plane, kind of.
He's seen his own kind before, hasn't he?
Yeah?
Well, tell him I don't mean him any harm. Seems pretty sincere. Like you get a sense from Canner that he's just a very pleasant and honorable person. And he starts to step away from the bar now. Well, I'm off. If you need anything repaired or you need to buy something, I run a shop here. It's called Cooler Heads Prevail. I'm the local blacksmith. I share a space right next to Sleejack's. I make and sell weapons and armor.
Oh, you do? Do you work in any kind of magical weapons or armor? Or maybe you work with Sleejack for that together?
Oh, between Nasri and I, we can make just about anything. If you have the coin and you have the time. Of course.
Oh, thank you.
As of late, materials have been a bit more difficult to come by. Foe and bow can only do so much.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you. I guess we'll be seeing you around, Kenner. Nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you. You said Lithana?
That's right.
Very nice to meet you, Lithana. You have a pleasant day. Come and see me, you and your friends, anytime. And the hulking Warforged now straightens himself and begins walking towards the exit, turns back, waves to Millie and says, "Goodbye, y'all," and is gone.
Did you see the size of that guy? He could have ripped me in half.
Lithana would walk up her to music. Come on, man. He seems nice.
Oh, he seems nice, yes, but if you met a really nice giant, wouldn't you still be a little bit scared?
Music, that's how I feel every day.
I mean, not if I knew all of his weak spots where I could kill him instantly if I needed to. And she says just completely calmly.
Music says, "Oh my God," and gets behind Zito. Make sure Zito is between him and Lithana.
We've met plenty of nice giants. We met a big dragon one time. He was super nice.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What dragon have you met?
His name was Zell. He was really cool. Lithana, you were there. Tell them.
Wait, what was that? I was drinking tea. What?
You guys have drank far more than just hero's blood over your adventures, haven't you?
No, he was real, I swear.
Oh yes, I remember that. That was a good time.
Mass hallucinations.
He was a cool dude.
Thank you, Ender. See, I remembers.
Auri, you feel this strange tugging sensation on one of your legs, and as you turn and look down, Sporlin is looking up to you, and he's gesturing with his hands. He looks a little bit bigger. The last few days, he seems to have been getting a bit bigger. He's about the size of a toddler now.
No, he's Zito sized.
Yeah, he's almost as tall as Zito. So unfortunately, he can't ride on your head. Unless you really want him to.
I don't think that'll be possible anymore.
But he reaches up as if he wants you to pick him up.
Okay, I'll pick him up and like put him over my hip, like like you pick up a toddler.
And he's just sort of playing with your hair and looking around the table.
It's just mirrors. He like 3 times the size he was a couple days ago.
And as you say that, Auri, Eli, are you listening in?
Yeah.
Eli, you are suddenly realizing that there is a crate full of Sporlins, potentially the same size as this guy back on your airship right now.
Oh, they were told to be exterminated. Oh, shh, don't tell Ari.
Oh my god!
They grew up and left Mom, I think.
Zito's gonna look over to Millie and says, "Can I get another biscuit and some more bacon, please?"
And Millie looks at you. For you, of course, right away. And she makes a few clicking noises, and a couple of floating plates come out of the kitchen through this little window that you can see that separates the wall from the kitchen, and floats out to you and sits in front of you.
So you work both here and with the town's mayor?
Well, yes, I have a lot of mouths to feed. And she just sort of sheepishly goes back to doing her work, like just sort of looks down and away from you.
Oh. Well.
She's also, are you at the table yelling across the the tavern to
No, I was
her?
at the bar.
Oh, you went to the bar.
I was
okay.
always at the bar.
Gotcha. Well, in that case, your plate floated down and sat in front of you at the bar.
So she continues to clean and go about busy work behind the bar, and she's also now taking orders from people. A few individuals have now wandered into the establishment, and it seems as though this place doubles as both a bed and breakfast and a bar. So they seem to be serving just regular meals. You see mush, chunks of meat, cheese, bread, biscuits, all sorts coming out, floating on these trays, and are being taken out to the various tables where people are seated. And Millie looks back at you now and says, Zito, right?
Yes.
I couldn't help but notice that you seem to be a bit of a tinkering type.
I've been studying
Well,
how would you call it? Artificer? Or,
an artificer.
yes, I am a practicing artificer.
What's that, Adam?
I said, I think the word you're thinking of is you've been practicing artificery.
Or artifice.
Yes, I am practicing artifice.
And she looks at you, and her mood immediately goes from a bit, like she looked kind of tired, even though it's pretty early. Maybe she didn't sleep all that great last night. And she goes, really?
Yes, I am. I've actually been an apprentice of one of the finest artificers in Eberron.
Is there any way you could take a look at some machinery behind the tavern? I've asked Nazri several times, but she's been ignoring me for weeks.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it after I finish this.
I'd pay you, of course. It won't take any. If you've got too much on your plate, don't worry about it. I can wait. I'll try to ask Nazri again. She's been ignoring my requests.
I'll definitely take a look at it.
Thank you. It has to do with how we dispose of garbage.
So was it an incinerator?
It's sort of. It's more of a, you throw things in it and things disappear. For good.
Alright, I'll take a look at it.
Thank you so very much, Zito. And do you wish to go do that now, or did you want to wait to do that? Because you can wait.
I'll finish eating first, and I'll go check it out.
Okay.
It's right here. I'll go check it out.
Yeah, it's just around the back. Okay. Eli, what are you doing? Just enjoying breakfast?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Just sort of taking in everything, the goings on that are going on inside of the tavern?
Yes.
Is there anything that any of you would like to do here in the tavern as you're finishing up your meal? You do know that besides the invitation from the large Warforged and Zito's task that was asked of him, Red has headed off into the marketplace. She said she was going to go visit Kit's shop.
I would like to go with Zito and help him out if that's possible.
Okay.
Eli, the extra pair of hands.
Eli's going to the Warforged shop. Music is helping Zito. What are
I'm going to be following Eli.
Okay.
Because he's always getting himself in trouble.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Zeno because I don't trust music to not try and feed him more of that juice while I'm gone.
Okay. And what about you, Lithana?
Lithana would join Eli and, was it Ender was going too?
I believe so.
To go to Canner's shop. She'd also like to stop by Bo and Sleejack's as well.
Okay. Bow and Sleejack's? Oh, Sleejack's shop is right next to, as Canner said, they share essentially a building. So it's literally right there.
Cool.
Okay. So before we continue on with Eli, Lufana, and Ender, let's go ahead and go around the back of the shop. Or the back of the tavern. So Zito, Millie leads you, Auri, and Music to the rear of the shop. And you see this device that is on the back of the building. It sort of resembles like a rectangular trash bin. But it has like these weird like coils, electrical coils at the top at various intervals. And arcs of electricity zap between the coils every so often. And Millie says, "There's the darn thing. I can't make heads nor tails of it, but if you can do something with it, I'll make it worth your while."
All right. Let's crack this thing open and take a look and see what's inside.
Okay.
And Zito is going to pull out his toolkit and see if he can break this thing open.
Like you're breaking the box open?
Like to get to the parts to see what's going on.
Oh, okay. Make a tinker check.
What would that be? Intelligence?
I believe so. It's you are proficient with tinker's tools, correct?
I have double proficiency in tinker's tools, so I'll be 12.
Okay. 12. Okay. So you're able to locate a panel on the side that seems to be fastened with a couple of bolts. You pull out a couple of your tools and get the right size and start to loosen the bolts and take this panel off. And you can now see several horizontally placed tubes that seem to be filled with a crystal of some sort. And one of the tubes, the crystal has cracked and darkened. Most of these crystals appear to be a sort of a pinkish reddish hue. But this last one, it looks like it starts pinkish reddish and then becomes black about a third of the way in.
Could I tell what kind of crystals these are?
From your general knowledge as an artificer, they resemble refined dragon shard of an Eberron type. A very common dragon shard, but no less important. The people of Eberron, of Corvair, various magical types and spellcasters and tinkers and artificers use dragon sharp of many types to power their equipment, to perform special rituals, to embolden their spells. And just getting a general look, it looks like this might be potentially the cause of why whatever this thing is not working.
Music, you wouldn't happen to have any dragon shards on you, would you?
I'm partially made out of dragon shard, but no free floating ones.
I think we might need to replace a dragon shard on here.
Millie yells out, "Dragon shard!" Oh, blast it. Well, you could possibly get it a few places around here. Foe and Bow, they use it for their racing devices. I know Sleejack works with it. Good luck getting anything out of her for anything less than a pretty penny. You might, if I'm not mistaken, you might be able to win some Dragon Shard if you participate in that race that they're having later on. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the prize is a whole trophy full of it.
I could really use some of that dragon shard.
Well,
I'm not gonna
What do
twist.
you?
I'm not gonna twist your arm. It is it does have an element of danger to it. Racing out across the Zaratan fields and back. I personally would never try it myself, but if you want to try your hand, go right ahead. I would go talk to Sleejack about that, or Bo.
What do you two think?
Well, you're kind of small, lightweight. Whatever it is they're racing, I'm pretty sure you've got an advantage.
Usually it takes two to run this race. Any of you want to join me?
Ours kind of small too, and she's got a really good passive perception.
I can try.
As a spirit, I think she did drink the hero's blood.
Hand her the bottle, music.
Here's the bottle.
No,
I'm kidding.
no, I'm good.
What? It's just water, Ari.
No, I'm fine.
Or I'll take a drink of it. It seems just water.
No,
Uh,
Zito.
What is it, Ari?
I mean, you can save the drinking for celebrating. Let's get this done first.
All right. My stomach's still kind of upset, anyways.
Okay. And you can leave the device the way it is. Millie looks to you and says, please take your time. Do what you need. You don't need to do anything dangerous if you don't want to. I really appreciate your time. You can just leave this the way it is. Nobody's going to mess with it. I have to get back inside, though. I'm supposed to be minding the bar, and you just watch as she was at your level. Now she jumps up into this harness that resembles a pair of walking legs, and you just watch her as she stomps off back around the tavern and back inside.
Well, if you need to put any trash, I have this bag here. Zito's going to pull out his bag of devouring.
She turns and looks back at you and looks at the bag, says, "A bag? What's that for?"
Apparently it likes to eat whatever you put inside it.
I hope. Curious. Okay, well, I suppose I could slip things into it and test it out. Is it dangerous?
I wouldn't put anything that I would want to keep inside the bag, including living people.
Well, I wasn't planning on shoving anybody in there, but thank you for the advice.
Yep, or don't try to take anything out of it.
So it's essentially a smaller version of this contraption, and she gestures towards the big box on the side of the building.
Well, I don't understand what this contraption does, but yeah, will essentially do the same thing.
It's a disposal. So if you're saying this bag is like it is a disposal of a sort, then I'll hold on to it. I'll test it. I'll be very careful. I won't damage it, I promise.
And Zita will hand that over.
Okay. She gratefully takes it from you. If you want to put it into the party inventory, you can. And the rest, you two, or you three, I should say, are all headed off down towards the marketplace now?
Yes.
Okay. So, Red, you wandered away from the establishment. You made your way down towards the marketplace, which is really not too far away. The way the town is designed, it's fairly close by. You can make out the familiar building of Kit Orlane's haberdashery and general store. Her store itself is essentially it's sort of an open air, almost like barn, if you will.
that has tapestries that are stretched out in various places, a lot of open air, open space and equipment, various tanning and skinning supplies. There are rolled up what appears to be some sort type of reed that are woven together that are currently pulled up, but they look like, as you remember, they are meant to obviously be rolled back down and fastened so that no animals wander into her shop at night when she closes down. And you see the familiar sight of your friend who is currently seated on a stool behind a very large tapestry of fabric, multicolored threads that she is currently working on. And even seeing her at an angle, not seeing her head on, you recognize her almost immediately.
So yeah, I'll walk in. Kit, this one is so happy to see you again. It has been too long.
Do my eyes deceive me? Is that you, Red?
Yes, it is. Your eyes are true.
And you have children. Whose children are those? Did you steal someone's children?
This one wishes it was such a funny story. They are orphans. Their outpost was slain. They were the only survivors besides myself.
And you've just been traipsing around the swamp with these two?
This one does not have much experience with children, but it seemed better than leaving them alone. I thought that if I could get them back to Heartholm, that I could find them a home here.
Well, I'm sure. How long have you been here? Did you just arrive?
Last night.
Well, I can take them off your hands if you have pressing matters, Red, and then we can find somewhere for them to stay, or they can stay with me. I am more than capable of watching after them.
Of that, this one has no doubt. And
What
I'll
are
kind
the
of unstrap the tail and move
as you're
around
undoing them, they're wriggling, and immediately they're tired of being strapped up on you, and they're ready to get out and run around. And
so yeah, I'll kind of grab them by their scruffs. This one suspects they will be more squirrely than usual.
I can see that. One of them reeks. They could possibly both do with a bath. What are their names?
I'll hold up the girl. This is Daisy, and the little boy is Indy. He's a handful.
Daisy and Indy. Indy does look like a handful. You're a little pisser, aren't you? And she tickles Indy's chin, and he starts giggling. Well, we can catch up later if you just want to offload them to me and take care of any business that you have. That's fine.
This one is grateful. Me and my traveling companions have found some not so child-friendly situations. I will be glad that I don't have to worry if they will live.
Well, I can't say whether they will live or die. That remains to be seen, that if that is their journey. But I will take care of them the best as I can, and they can stay here in the shop. I promise they won't wander off. You two, you, Indy, get out of that. And you can see that Indy is already starting to go through Kit's rolls of cloth, and has already started knocking things over. Don't you make... I will put you in a cage. And she grabs a basket and just scoops him up and sets him in the basket. Not so clever now, are you?
This one thinks that maybe they are part of your journey. And
she holds the basket out sort of on the side of her hip, and his little hands and his head just sort of curl over the edge of the basket, and he looks out, just happier than a pig in you know what.
Thank you, Kit.
That's fine. It's no problem. It's very good to see you again, Red. I'm sure that you have a multitude of things that you must attend to, you being such an adventurous one, you.
This one does have several things to do. I will catch up with you soon.
I won't keep you. You can visit me later if you wish, or just send me a letter if you decide that you need to leave again. I will make sure that the children are safe. We take care of our own, you know this.
This is true.
Is there anything that you need before you go?
Let me look around.
You're looking a bit, your clothing looks a bit worse for wear. Do you need a new pair of pants? And she now gestures towards piles of clothing, various colors of various types of pants. Most of them more form, and function versus armor, if you will. So this would be something that you can combine with your current outfit or replace any ruined clothing, or just to keep on as an extra piece of clothing.
This one would appreciate the change of attire.
And
I'd go and sift through for like some black ones.
Okay.
Pants or something.
You find something that is of dark color. It seems to be made of a tanned hide. It's very soft, almost velvety.
Ah, yes, that one came from the back of a werebore. That will not tear. I can promise you that.
That is useful.
And before you wrinkle your nose at me for using the hide from a were, it is perfectly fine. I have been assured that they died humanely.
That is not an acknowledgement.
Did you just say that in character?
Yes. No. Red nod their head. This comforts me. They should not be slain in such inhumane ways.
And these pants, as you're looking at them, they feel velvety, and you can see where the hard, coarse bristles from the werebore have been shorn off, and the soft, supple material underneath the tanned leather, it has sort of like a mottled black with like grayish white patterns that go down the sides of each pant leg. Like start up at the hip and go all the way down almost towards mid-calf.
So cute.
Oh, you like those? Please keep them.
This one finds them pleasant. Kind of rub my hand over the softness.
If you need anything else, please, by all means, you are family. You can take what you need.
Thank you, Kit. And I'll pull the pants on, and I'll kind of do a little twirl. I'm still wearing the mask thing that I found way back when. It's like the black velvety masquerade mask. So I bet I look pretty stylish right now.
Oh yeah, between the armor, I believe you're wearing what, half plate?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite the ensemble with these black pants with this sort of an off-white pattern, a speckled pattern that runs down either side of the inside and the outside of the leg down towards mid-calf, and the mask.
And I'll turn to Kit. This one has a question of opinion. If you were a small kobold, would this look be intimidating to you? Or would you think she is a friendly shifter?
I would say that it is leaning more towards friendly. I wouldn't tell them where you got the pants from, what kind of creature. It might put off some people if they learned the nature of where the hide came from.
I kind of do the Witcher. This one will keep it in mind. Thank you, Kit, again, for
You're
your
welcome.
gift and your thoughts.
Anytime. Well, I will let you go.
So I'll give a wave and I'll head back out to the marketplace.
Okay. As you head away from into the midst of the marketplace, you now see the sight of Eli and Ender and Lithana as they are just sort of walking down the middle of the street through a very sparse crowd of individuals who are going about their daily tasks. And you can see now that they're looking around, looking at the various buildings.
And I'll just kind of fall in behind them quietly.
Okay. You all now see that Red is sporting a brand new pair of pants. And I believe you were all looking for the blacksmith shop or the artificer shop. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
That is right.
Okay. Not that difficult to find. It is the shop that is, you can hear the discordant sound of hammering. Hammers on metal.
I will walk in.
Okay. And as you head into the establishment itself is sort of an A-frame style building. Very, very tall ceiling, vaulted ceiling. When you head in, it is just a menagerie of racks of weapons and gear and equipment. There's not very many people in there at the moment, but you do see the familiar sight of that very large warforge that Lithana was speaking to. And he sees you all walking into his establishment and he says, "Ah, so you did decide to come after all."
Yes, I'm very curious about your shop.
Well, I haven't had many folk come in besides locals lately inquiring about anything, so if there's anything that I don't have that you were interested in having made for you custom, I can try to help you. If you have any gear that you need worked on or fixed, anything like that, I can try to help you. If anything I can't help you with, then we can talk to Nasri and see what she thinks.
Well, I was curious, do you use iron for your weapons?
Iron ore is very common, yes, when I can get my hands on it.
How much iron do you have currently?
Oh, I'd have to look in my stores if you want to give me a moment and see exactly how much I have. Why, were you interested in having something made?
Yes, you could say that.
Okay, well, give me a moment and I will look. Please feel free to browse. And you can all hear now like this discordant sound. Almost sounds like whinnying coming from the other side of this building. It's like a very mechanical sounding whinnying noise, like a horse. And at the moment, you were all left to your own devices within the shop as the large warforge has wandered off towards the back of the building, out of sight, through a door.
And what are you looking for? Anything?
Just making sure you stay out of trouble. And then I'm gonna give you a parental glare.
Did you need anything?
Sorry.
Do I need anything? No, I don't need anything.
Do you want anything? Is the question.
I'm gonna look at you plainly and say no.
No worries, Lathana. You seem to travel with me. Do you want anything?
Well, I wasn't thinking about a particular weapon or armor. I really wanted to talk to the shop next door, but if you have any suggestions, I have coin and want to support the business.
And as you're saying that, Lathana, a goblin just sort of absent-mindedly walks past you and says, "Good morning." And she walks behind the counter within this establishment, and you can hear the sound of rustling and things being dragged and moved. And then the goblin walks around the counter now and starts to walk between your legs. Excuse me.
Well, like when she's like passed through my legs, don't want to stop her there. She's like, you must be Sleejack? Is that right?
And she
Artificer Sleejack?
She keeps walking for a moment, and then her ears sort of perk up a bit, and she turns and looks at you and says, "Well, who's asking?"
A friend of Canard. Well, new friend of Canard. I am Lithana. And this is my friend Eli. And Ender.
Ender.
Going to wave.
And this goblin, who's about 2.5, 3 feet tall, looks at each of you, and you can see that she's holding a cask of something underneath her arm, and looking at each of you. "Nice to meet you." And looks at you expectantly, as in to say, "And?"
Well, I actually have a question for you, but I think, Eli, did you have something you were looking for first?
Oh no, I'm being taken care of. But I would love to see your special magic items.
And she just sort of looks at you, and she says, "I'm very busy today. I'm actually not minding the shop. I'm actually in the middle of repairing something. But I can possibly help you tomorrow. You're free to browse the shop. I have many number of common things at your disposal that you can purchase."
What are you working on?
Well, I'm trying to fix one of these blasted constructs, and if you'll excuse me, it's leaking. And you can see now that there's this gooey substance which is coming out of an opening in this barrel-like container, and she begins to walk away. And as she does so now, Zito, you and your companions, Music and Auri, wander into the shop, and you see your friends standing there. This very loud sound of someone hitting something in the background.
How's shopping going?
I'm gonna look down at Zito and just shrug.
And
we're waiting.
As you say that, Eli, the familiar sight of Canner comes around the corner. He walks forth, and he has a big, thick book in his hands. He sets it on the counter, and he starts looking around, and you just hear him say, "What the shit?" He looks at each of you. "Somebody come back here."
Yes, your goblin friend.
Artificer Sleejack?
Friend. Nazari! I told you to stay out of my stuff. Sorry. We have an arrangement. Nazari is usually busy on mole. Blasted harness race that she
and bow. I'm sorry. Let me compose myself. You are looking for iron ingots or ore?
Could be both.
Well, I don't have any ore. I've smelted all that I have, and I'm waiting for a shipment, but I'm not sure when that shipment will come. But
How many ingots?
I do have ingots. I have 30 ingots, actually. Will that be enough?
I'll buy them all.
Really?
Yes.
And he pulls open his ledger and he begins to write down and pulls out a piece of paper and hands it to you, and he says, "Hold on to that, it's your receipt. I'll gather it together and I'll have it ready for you by the end of the day."
Well, thank you.
I have to go speak to my goblin tenant who hasn't paid their rent this month yet. I apologize.
No worries, and a quick question for you.
Yes.
Do you have any special items here?
I have many items. You'll have to be a bit more specific.
What's your most special magic item? Or give me 3.
And he just sort of looks at you, and you can tell that he's sort of like flabbergasted, like nobody's asked him this in a while. And he says, "Well, I have armor and I have weapons. That's pretty much what I sell. So if you're looking for a specific piece of armor or a weapon, And he looks at you, he says, "Begging your pardon, most of what I have in stock is not going to be anything compared to what you all are currently dripping in. If you don't pardon my intrusion, I don't mean to be rude, but you're a bit above my pay grade at the moment of things." And he gestures to each of you, just sort of like clocking each one of you now, that all of you are in the shop now. And he's like, "More of you showed up. Wonderful. Is there anything else that I can help you with?"
That would be all. I don't know. I guess if you don't have anything better than what we carry, then no. But thank you, though.
Again, if I have the materials and I have the time, I can make just about anything. I do custom things for you, but I need time, obviously.
You want to buy some armor?
I can always use stock. If you wish to offload some things to me, you can. But we can handle that at another time. You all look very, very busy. I'm sure that I don't want to bore you with that.
One more question for you, Kennard. Oh, sorry, Zito, go ahead.
I was actually thinking, are you able to make a gun barrel for me?
I'm sure that I can try. If I partnered with Sleejack, this is for you?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if she's gonna help me then. Sleejack doesn't really do work for your kind.
I need a gun barrel then.
Are you using?
I'm sorry.
He looks at you and he says, "Well, I suppose that might work."
What if I gave her some of these and Zito will take out his crate of 40 adamantine tiny ingots?
And he looks at you and just says, "Oh, where did you find all of that? I haven't seen that material in months."
Well, if you make this gun barrel for me, I'm sure you can handle the rest of the adamantine?
Well, we can certainly work on something. Go have a talk with Nazri and see what she says first. I wouldn't mention that it's for you, if you catch my drift. And he starts to stare you up and down, Zito. And he says, in fact, you might want to stay here.
Zito's going to look up to music and says, you mind doing a favor for me, music?
I could try. What you need?
I want to see if you can convince, what was her name again?
Nazri Sleejak.
Yep, Nazri, that's it. I want you to see if you can convince Nazri to make a gun barrel for me.
Sure, I could try. Should I mention this for you?
Sure, you can say that, but I don't think she's too kind on kobolds. You can just say my name.
Gotcha. I could do that.
And he looks at each of you now. Do any of you need anything?
This one does not need anything today.
Very well. Well, if you don't mind, I need to finish what I was working on.
One more question, Kenner. Sorry.
Yes. Go ahead.
Nazari, does she do much with the Azure Sky by chance?
And he just sort of looks at you and he's like, no. Why would you ask that? And
someone told me that she might. I don't know.
Who said that? And he begins looking around now, looking all around, looking at each of you.
The mayor?
That fool said that Nazri deals with the Azure Sky.
Or at least had the devices.
And he starts to look. He's like, and almost like it's dawning on him. His jaw starts to drop, very, very wide, and he's like, you can ask Nazri about that. I would not mention the Azure Sky. I know of no Azure Sky dealings. And he's starting to speak louder now. I would take your business elsewhere if you're looking for that. And then he gets close to you now and he says, Foe and Bo and Nazari have something. It's tied to the racing. It's tied to where I get many of my materials. Let's just say those three don't exactly deal with a legitimate distributor of materials. Many of their things are, I don't want to say stolen, but recovered. And if you're mentioning any of this, or that I said anything to you, I will deny it.
Lithana would lower her voice and I said, and that's precisely why I went to you first, because I wanted to get an idea of what, how she might react if I said something.
She might shoot you in the face.
Okay, good to know.
Nazari is more of a shoot first, ask questions later type of girl.
As am I. And she smiles.
I can sense that. Just be careful saying Azure Sky, and be careful mentioning anything about the Shogunate. Bo and Fo are very sensitive about that subject. And I wouldn't go poking around too much in their business. We have a bit of a frail ecosystem as it is here in Heartholm. And right now, they're the only ones bringing anything in.
I see. Well, thank you for your candor. I guess I'm in a bit of my own investigation for this particular organization, so... And she'll step back and smile and say, well, thank you, Connor. I appreciate it. It seems like the races are a good place to go. I don't know, it seems like a lot of what we're doing is there.
All of the young fleshlings like to participate. Mostly the very, very young are talking not quite adults, leaning more adolescent, who are looking for a thrill. Most of the older folk don't really... They'll watch, but they won't participate.
Yeah, Ari and I were thinking of joining the raid.
And he looks at you, Zito, and he looks at Ari, and he says, oh, good luck. I truly mean that. I apologize. I'm not trying to be rude, but Esters are a bit difficult to control if you've never used one before.
You said Esther?
Yes. And when he says Esther, you are drawn back to a memory of when you were at the outpost and that group of samurai that was led by one that appeared to know Ender. When they left on something that they mentioned called Esther. These construct horse-like vehicles that look like a mix between a motorcycle with a robot horse head on the front of it.
I'm sure we'll be able to manage. Ari's good with animals and done pretty good with constructs.
Well, good luck to you. Those who...
You wouldn't happen to know how to sign up for those races, would you?
You can talk to Bo, you can talk to Nasri. You might even be able to secure access with Foe if Bo and Nasri decide that they don't want you to join. You'll find Foe over at his bathhouse.
You say Foe or Bo?
Foe. Foe would be the one that... If Bo and Nasri are unwilling to let you participate, specifically Nasri, Foe might be your in, if you absolutely must participate.
Alright, thank you for telling me that.
You're welcome.
And where can we find Bo?
More than likely he's out at the edge of the Zaratan fields to the west. Just west of the village. Can't miss him. Just look for a series of tall poles with flags. Long, flowing flags of many colors. And you'll see all of their esters lined up.
Would there be any reason why Bo wouldn't let me participate?
Well, considering he's married to Nasri, kind of does what Nasri tells him to do. If you get my meaning.
I think I understand.
Do you now? Well, I'm glad that you do, because I never understand those two. But anyway, if there's nothing else that you need from me, I will let you get back to what you need to do.
I think I'm just going to go talk to Foe then.
Okay.
As Canner has said, Foe would a good place to check would be the bathhouse, which is not too far away. Which Red would know is a restaurant and spa that is run by the half-orc Foe. It's a place where you can relax and also try some of the cuisine that Foe cooks up.
This one knows where the bathhouse is. And I'd start leading them in that direction.
If you're all going in that direction.
Sure.
Nice pants, Fred.
Thank you, Iron Cobalt.
What are they made out of?
This one does not know. Something.
But they're so luxurious.
I know, it looks soft.
And I'll kind of like stick a leg out towards them a little bit. The Iron Cobalt can feel if you'd like.
I think we'll go talk to Foe first.
It's kind of shrug.
And it goes, Red, you would know that Foe's is a bit north. It's a building close to the spire, like the base of the spire, where the spire comes up out of the ground. It has a vaulted roof. As if you're all heading in that direction. Yes?
Yeah.
I didn't want to presume that you were all... Since you all got back together again.
Yes, we'll head to the bathhouses.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick next to Eli, kind of not side by side with him, but basically, like he's got an invisible leash on him.
Okay. As you all traipse down, walking down the road towards the north, somewhat northeast, you can now see the building. The front of the facade, you can see a counter with a series of stools on this raised platform, which is raised up a few feet off of the soft ground. And there's another doorway, a set of double doors that leads into a larger section of the building, which you can see a series of windows that seem to be constructed of crepe paper, like this sort of an off-white, almost eggshell white paper. Just these geometric rectangles that run along the side of the building. And you can now see, as you approach, a series of individuals who are apparently having some breakfast or possibly some brunch. And there is a thin half-orc male who is mostly bald, except for a tuft of hair that sort of comes out from the top of their head and sort of like a curly Q. And he is dressed in white. He has a white apron and an overcoat underneath that. And he's currently with a couple of other humans dealing out orders of food to individuals at the counter.
I'll kind of gesture to the group. That is Foe.
Zito's gonna walk up to the counter then.
Okay. Zito, as you get closer, you can see now the half-orc has now noticed the group of you and looks out and says, "Oh, I don't have any more counter space. I'm sorry." You can see now there's only 6 stools and half of them are filled up. "I will be able to service all of you if you're here for something to eat. Can you wait? Is that possible?"
We're not actually here to eat. We want to sign up for the races later today.
Well, you need to go talk to Bo about that. I don't deal with that. That's all him.
Yeah, well, given that I'm
And he,
You know, kind of.
he's got a pair of spectacles on, which the steam from behind the counter has sort of fogged up. And he takes them off and he starts to like rub them on his apron, and he puts them back on, and then he looks at you. Aha, you might have a problem there, sir. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was told.
I'm not sure you're quite qualified to participate.
And why is that?
Well, to be frank with you, my sister-in-law would probably lop your head off.
That wouldn't be the first time someone tried to do that.
Understandable. What exactly is your angle, sir?
Well, I'd like to get that cup full of raw dragon shard.
Oh, so you want to win the race. This is not you just seeking thrills. You actually want to win.
Yes.
And you see him turn, and he says to the humans behind the counter, "Watch for me for a moment." And he disappears and comes out through the double doors and comes out to you. And he says, "I don't have a problem with your kind. This is a thing with Nasri. I don't know why Nasri has a problem with your kind, but she is my sister-in-law, and I have to respect the bond between her and my brother. Samurai, what are you doing here? This is none of your business." He's now looking in your direction, Ender. "Should you be off watching the village?"
I travel with these. These are my companions. I'm going to look around at my friends.
He speaks the truth. What clan do you hail from, stranger?
I tell them who I am.
Okay.
Say I'm Ender, and I don't know my clan name, so.
I assume it was Go. That was the name of your clan, because your name is Go Ender.
Yeah. That's what I'll tell them.
Okay.
I'll say, I hail from the north, the Go tribe.
From Goldmire. Or near, I should say.
I tell him the coordinates. I really don't know, so sorry.
That's fine. He looks at you and he's like scratching his head, like he's confused. He's like, they're all gone, and you say you're from that tribe. Very strange. I'm sorry, my friend. I will tell you this. I will sponsor you. You can go and enter into the race for today. You only have them once a week, so this is your chance to win some Dragon Shard. Give them my name if they give you any problems. And he now pulls out of his pocket, he pulls out a coin that looks like it's made from smelted Bieshk metal. It's purple, has sort of almost like a rainbow patina when you twist it and turns it in the light from the sun. And there is a symbol on it. And he hands it to you. If they say anything, give them this. And then he looks beyond Zito and sees you beginning to speak up, Eli. "Yes, sir. I don't have the pleasure of your name."
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Eli. How many sponsors does that coin have?
You and, well, presumably your companion here and his spotter will be just fine. It's enough for one entry. With my blessing.
And let's say another rider and a spotter. A music, you want to join me?
As long as you're not kobold, I don't see why they would have a problem as long as there's an opening. the openings fill up pretty quickly. In fact, and he now looks up at the sky, at the sun, and he goes, "Oh, you better get there quick. Those spots will be filled up by now."
Which direction?
And he points back in the direction that you came from. He says, "Back towards Cooler Heads, and then go west, out towards the edge of the Zaratan fields. You can stop at the shop. My brother and his wife may be there. You can talk to any one of them, and they run it."
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good luck to you, sir. He looks at you, Zito, meeting your gaze. You'll need it. Have a good day. Oh, and I'm running a special, 2 for the 1. If you want to have a seat in a hot bath, you all look like you might not have had a hot bath in a while. I'm running a special on massages.
I might take you up on that after we win.
And he just sort of looks at you and kind of smiles a bit. And he goes, "It's nice of you. I give you special."
We don't have much time to waste, then Zito's gonna make his way out towards the door.
Well, it's an open air establishment. You're basically just kind of talking right in front of the building.
Oh, well, Zito's gonna make his way over to sign up then.
Zito turns heel and begins heading with a sense of purpose back south towards Cooler Heads Prevail and the shop. And are you all following, or what are you all doing?
I'm following him. I'm chasing after him.
Okay,
Trying to keep up.
Yeah, Zito's little legs, he's beating feet trying to get there.
Yeah, same. Trying to get a spot.
Running too.
Okay. The rest of you are following?
Yeah.
Ender, are you continuing to play bodyguard?
Yes. I just assume I'm always playing bodyguard.
Okay. As you are all heading back, you see a series of those robed individuals. A few of them that you sort of recognize from Gutter Guts this morning. And they walk by you. A few of them meet your gaze and smile sort of sheepishly and then continue walking past you. And eventually you all make your way back to the shop. Do you wish to go inside the shop or continue out towards the fields to the west?
I think Zito wants to continue out towards the fields.
Okay.
If you want to sign up, Eli, you can talk to Bo, should be by the fields.
Yes, I was heading to the fields to sign up.
Okay. And as you get out there towards that area, the land becoming much more swampy. The soft earth is becoming a bit squishier. As you get closer, you can see now a wooden platform which is raised up. A series of posts that have a platform up above the muck. There's a couple of series of stairs that lead you up to that section, and you can see a very, very muscled half-orc, completely bald, with a huge scar on one side of his face, and one of his right eye is missing. And you can see that he has a patch that's not connected to any sort of filament. It's just stuck over the eye socket. And he is currently holding out in front of him what looks like a book, and he's looking through it, and he's looking off in the distance. And you can see a series of these construct horse creatures, these esters, with these raised platforms that resemble chariot cars. No wheels, hovering above the ground, connected to the rear of each of these constructs. There's a series of them, and most of them look like they're filled, except for 2.
And there's a couple of individuals now that are speaking to this imposing half-orc. And it's just a din of conversation. And you just hear him saying, "Fine, fine. Look, it's your life. If you want to try your hand, be my guest. I only have one more spot, folks. If anyone is interested in taking part in the race, they can."
Zito was gonna speak up, says, "I'll take that spot."
And this orc now looking at his book. "Fine, what's your name?" He's not even looking at you.
Zito.
Z-E, very strange name.
Yeah,
Where do you hail from, stranger?
Eberron.
Well, everyone's from Eberron. That's a bit
Sharn.
redundant. And he turns and he now says, any incidentals? Anyone that you need your stuff sent to if the worst possibly happens? And then he trails off as he looks in your direction with his one good eye getting much bigger. And he says, nope. And he starts scrabbling in the book. Absolutely not.
Yeah, Fo told me this might happen, and Zito is going to give him the coin. Says that he decided to sponsor me.
And he immediately reaches down and grabs it out of your hand violently, looks at it and says, "You spoke to Foe, huh?"
Yes, I have.
And he just has a look of disdain on his face. He's wearing very simple leather armor and a very an open like tunic, and he's got a huge tuft of hair coming off of his chest. And he takes the coin and he rubs it on his chest, like on his pectoral, and looks at it and bites it. "All right, don't let Nezri see you out there." And he takes it and puts it in his pocket. I suppose you want a rundown of the rules. And he looks in your direction, Eli, as you speak up. "Yes, sir. Can I help you?"
So does that mean there's another spot as he got sponsored?
Nope, that's it. That was my last one. He filled it. Why?
Me and my other friend would like a crack at it as well.
Well, I'm afraid that I don't have any more. I had an extra spot, but unfortunately Nazri hasn't finished fixing that Esther yet. So, unfortunately, this is it. You'll have to wait a week. If you want to stick around until next mole, you can participate. Just gotta get here early.
We made it, Ari.
Who's your spotter?
Ari.
And he looks at you, Zito, and then he looks at you, Ari, and he says, "Whatever." And he gestures towards the Esther and he says, "The harness race is very, very simple. 2 riders lead an Esther on a trip through the fields, around the hill, and back to Heartholm. The race lasts for 2 miles, 1 mile out, 1 mile back. And if you win, you'll receive a gold trophy filled with 30 pounds of raw Eberron dragon shard that you can share. The Esther is your mount. They are a construct. They are not living creatures, so don't feel sorry for them if they get damaged. They can always be repaired. Now, I must warn you, this is a very hairy event. If you lose your spotter, you can still complete the race. But if the rider, I assume you, my friend, are the rider, if you fall off your Esther, you are disqualified. The spotter stands on the podium, or chariot cart, if you will, and keeps an eye out for you, warning you of potential obstacles.
Do you understand?
I understand so far.
I must impress upon you all. You look like you all are together. Red, is that you?
Yes.
What are you doing with this rabble? Never mind. The race is about to begin. Riders and spotters, take your places. Well, sir, if you wish to participate, this is your chance. And he now gestures to one of the Esther, which you can see now has been painted in almost a neon colored paint. It's like bright neon green and pink and orange, and like stripes, like racing stripes down the side of it. And you can see that this chariot, which is attached to the side, it seems to be bolted on either side, just behind the seat area of the Esther, where the rider sits. And this long metal rods that are connected to this chariot, which seems to be floating above the ground. There are no wheels on it. It's open-aired, and it looks like it has a series of handles and handholds that you can hold on to.
How far away are they from us in terms of where we're?
Well, if you're standing at this raised area, the Esters are approximately 20 feet away right now. And they're lined up, right ready to go. Doesn't appear to be a rhyme or reason, if you will. Just a couple of wooden posts that look like they've been carved into what look like a few different types of animals. One looks like a bear. The other one looks like a turtle, that are reared up and making like an animalistic roar face, like a very imposing, like scary look, like their arms raised up, like they're pouncing to attack. And these vehicles constructs are lined up just behind where those two posts are lined up in front of them.
Okay, just to let you know, when they get ready to take off, I don't want to interrupt you during that part, so just know that I'm going to be providing bardic inspiration to Zito and whatever he.
Yes.
What's your what's your range on bardic inspiration?
60
feet. And how long does it last? Does it just last until he uses it?
Let's see. Yeah, he can use it. So whatever he needs taken off, if he needs a skill check to get on that thing or take off or anything, he's good. And then, anytime within the next 10 minutes, he.
Okay.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to speak with Audrey for a second, out of sight of everybody else.
Okay. Eli, as you do so, Zito, you are being led over towards your Esther, and Bo now looks to you. There's a couple of handlers that are going to each of the riders and spotters. Bo looks to you and he says, "Fred, I don't have anything to protect you if you fall off. Nothing in your size, if you get my meaning." And you can see that many of the riders are wearing some sort of padded gear, like pants and jackets and like padded helmets.
Don't worry, I can handle myself whenever I fall. I've learned from taking multiple falls.
Very well. You asked for it. And he gestures now towards your neon machine, which the head has sort of been looking straight forward, tilting at odd angles, like herky-jerky motions. And now the head spins 180 and looks straight at you. Its eyes, not too dissimilar from the construction of a Warforged's eyes. Very, like, you see various cogs and lenses over those. And you can see the cogs turning and spinning, and there's a little bit of illumination within. And it snorts at you and makes a very tinny, mechanical sounding hoarse whinny.
Zito's gonna take a hold on the reins and get ready.
Okay.
For all ready? Ready to go? Riders are at the ready. Spotters, please take your positions. Eli, you said you're doing something with to the side with Auri?
Yes. I will pull her aside, out of sight. And I said, don't resist, and I will cast a spell.
Okay. Do you resist, Auri?
No.
Okay.
I cast Skill Empowerment, which gives her a double proficiency in any skill she chooses, which I would choose Perception.
Okay, I'll choose Perception then.
So it doubles your skill.
Okay. There are a series of chairs, very nice chairs that are set out on this platform, which people are already like lined up. They're stacked like bleachers. Most of the positions have been filled, but there are places for you all to sit if you wish to do so.
And Eli will be like, don't die on me, Audrey. And then Eli will follow Red to go sit.
Okay. Once again, you hear the sound of Bo's voice just sort of bellowing out across. Riders at the ready, spotters at the ready. Seems as though one of our spotters is missing. Last chance.
I'm gonna get over there as quick as I can and get in.
Okay. As you step up onto the platform, it kind of bobs a bit as it's adjusting to your weight. You can see there are no seatbelts. There is nothing connecting you to this chariot except for handholds. And you can see now below you this mechanical construct horse with the diminutive Zito sitting behind the controls, barely able to see over the head of this creature. It's kind of like, have you ever seen like a toddler behind the seat of a car or sitting on a motorcycle?
Oh no. That's adorable.
At the ready!
Be ready and hold on tight.
May Grandmother be kind! Go! And you are off. You are, each of you, you hear a cacophony of the sounds of tinny whinnying as these creatures lurch forth, rushing down the field, haphazardly. Just, it's like watching a scene out of a western. You just see the cavalry rushing across away from this platform for each of you as you're finding seats in the bleachers, watching as each of the riders zoom off over this field. And so you have something cast on you, Auri, correct? And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you have a bardic inspiration given to you by music, correct, Zito?
Yep.
Okay. You can see off in the distance, as you're zooming across the landscape, you can just see just this flat landscape of water features and muck. Just a flat swampland which stretches off in the distance, and on the horizon you can see a hill which is covered in trees. The hill itself is sort of a strange feature on the horizon, but it has like this bit of light that seems to be cast on it, and you can see in the distance all of these gnarled trees that come straight up out of it. And Zito, as you are controlling your Esther and zooming across the field, off in the distance, you and Auri, well, Auri sees it first. One of the Esters, suddenly something rises up in front of it, and there's an explosion as one of the riders impacts something, and you can see just shrapnel and smoke. And you hear a roaring noise as whatever this is just quickly, as quick as it rose up and created an obstacle, it sinks down into the mud just as quick. And you all sitting back in the bleachers back at the start of the race saw and heard this impact and explosion. And let's see.
Don't worry, Eli. I can cast Raise Dead if it...
Yes, looks very dangerous.
All right. Let's see. Auri, I need you to make a perception check, please. Okay.
And then the bonus he gave me.
With your bonus, okay, excellent. Roll a D100. Nope, this is a separate thing, Eli. 13 is with the plus the bonus, correct?
How do you roll D100?
Just roll 2 D10s. Okay, that's a 34. So you can see Zito is zipping and turning the Esther side to side, moving around various like bits of vegetation that are sprung up out of the swamp. And as you pass through a series of them, you can see suddenly these flat, almost look like stones that begin rising up in front of you, and you suddenly see giant crustacean creatures rising up. I need you to perform a stunt to weave through them. Roll a dexterity check, and I'm going to give you the stats for the Esther so that you can roll a dexterity check using the creature's dexterity.
Might just click on the dexterity.
Yep. Okay, excellent. You're able to weave through this sudden appearance of these crab creatures, their claws snapping. Auri, one of them nearly snaps and grabs your arm as Zito weaves through this gathering of these creatures that appear to be fighting over territory. And he's able to weave through them almost expertly.
Almost.
Are you okay up there, Ari?
I'm really impressed. Yeah, I'm all right.
The rest of the Esters are zipping around, moving at various spots. Auri, you hear another horrifying rending sound of metal crunching as another rider has impacted into something, and you look around and watch as the Esther hits something that was just under the surface of the water, and it flipped up, and the spotter and the chariot flipped up with it, and the spotter goes flying like about 20 feet and splashes. And I need another perception check, Auri, as you are still rocketing towards this hill in the distance. Holy crap.
Yeah, that time I had to fit his thing on. I didn't have it on before.
Roll another D100, please. Okay. 79. You just have a moment to call down to Zito as you see an enormous body of a creature suddenly lurches up and traveling from the south to the northeast moves through the muck, creating a huge wide gap. I need you to perform a stump to jump over this gap. Zito, roll a dexterity check using the Esther's dexterity.
Do I get advantage?
You do not.
I tried.
It's
All right,
okay.
dexterity check or save?
Her check, her amazing check is what allows you to notice this, allowing you to do your stunt. So it is a dexterity check. A dexterity check on your Esther, correct. So Zito, staring at this sudden like trench that was created in front of you, and Auri, you just have a moment to react as suddenly the engine guns, and Zito pushes the Esther to its limit, pulling it and you flying and arcing over this trench that was just created, splashing into the mud and continuing on, weaving left and right and steadying yourself. And you have now reached just the outskirts. That small hill in the distance is now right up on you. You can see golden grass growing on it. It's not green. It appears to be like the color of golden wheat. And you can see all of these gnarly mangrove-like trees, which almost appear like legs in some place in the way that they're spread out. Their root systems are spread out and sprung up as you begin to zoom around it. And you can now hear another engine from one of those Esters behind you gaining on you as you turn around and see one which is coming up close to you and Zito. And you can see a human who is standing in the platform and looking and gesturing very angrily towards you, and then pointing towards Zito. And as this person is doing it, you suddenly watch as they're there, and then suddenly they're gone, as they weren't paying attention, and a tree branch, which is suddenly stretches out from the edge of the hill and catches their spotter, knocking them off, and they're gone. You just see an empty chariot car. And the rider continues on. As you're turning, moving around the edge, the circumference of this hill, and now you can see in the distance, you can see the spire, the Titan's Reach. You can see Heartholm, and you can see the speck of the platform with the various flags with their long tapered edges flapping in the wind. Auri, make another perception check for me. Another really great roll. Go ahead and roll another D100. Let's see. You can see now that another series of those giant crab-like creatures are coming up out of the muck now and creating more obstacles. Go ahead and make another dexterity check, Zito. Okay. You watch as the once again you're able to zip and weave through these giant crabs, and you're able to get completely past them. You just hear the clicking of their claws just deafening in your ears, there and gone, as they're behind you now, as the Esther is pressing and you're rushing through back towards the finish line. And you can see now, looking behind you, there are only two other riders, and they are currently gaining. The one that's missing is Spotter, and another one.
Zito, see if he can try and spur his Esther to go a bit faster.
Okay. Go ahead and make an animal handling check. It's kind of weird because it's a construct, but it's still a living creature. Okay, good to know.
I'm going to use my inspiration and add 3 to that.
Okay.
Or my bardic inspiration.
All right. I think you still have to roll that, if I'm not mistaken.
So yeah, you roll whatever the die is that the person who gets the bardic inspiration, who's inspired, rolls it when they roll the check.
All right, I'll roll a d10 then.
Go for it.
All right, I'll make that a 12 or 13.
Okay, good to know. Auri, as you appear to be in the home stretch now, you're almost neck and neck with these other two riders. You suddenly see a gator leaps up over Zito, like it's like a shark breaching out of the ocean, leaps up over and bashes into the side of the other Esther rider with his spotter, and you can see it just happened to hit the side of the vehicle, and the chariot, the brace pops off and it starts spinning, and the spotter is holding on for dear life, screaming. I need you to make another perception check. Okay, roll another D100. Okay. This giant head suddenly surfaces with a snout resembling a giant turtle head. I need you to make another dexterity check, Zito. Ooh.
I'm going to use my inspiration for that.
Okay, go for it. Oh, much better. Okay. You're able to ride up the side of this creature's face just as it was about to open its maw. You ride up the side of its face and across its back, which it was starting to surface, rocketing over, and you can hear suddenly a crunching noise. Auri, as you look back, one of the last riders rode straight into this creature's mouth, and there's another fiery explosion. And you have now completed almost the entire race. Your Esther's rushing forth. You only have one more individual within this race racing with you currently, and this person no longer has their spotter. This is the one that you can see, and now you can see he hits, apparently as you turn and look, Zito hits something, and the chariot completely pops off, flying off in the distance, and it starts to gain and push ahead of you. Auri, make another final perception check. Whew. Man, that was really good. All right. One more D100. Okay. There's a sudden, the terrain in front of you suddenly goes from flat, and now something is rising directly in front of you. The creature's body, this giant tortoise, suddenly blocks your view of Heartholm. You just see the apex of the Titan's reach above its body and the forest beyond. Go ahead and make another dexterity check from using the Esther's dexterity. You're able to ride up the side of one of its legs, rushing up over the shell, and then zooming over, plopping into the muck. You can now see the behind you. You can see the creature now roaring and looking. You watch as the other individual who is right next to you zooms around its head, narrowly avoiding its jaw snapping shut. And you are now racing towards the finish line. It's just a leak behind you because it drove around the creature's body while you drove over it. And the rest of your companions now, the crowd is cheering. You can see now these two remaining riders, and one with their spotter, the other one without, coming back. You can just barely make out them. It's difficult, but each of you are able to observe for the most part and see the familiar neon colors that Zito's ride was painted. The neon greens and oranges. And you're rushing towards the finish line now. I need you to make an animal handling check, Zito. Okay.
That'll be an 11.
That'll be an 11. I need you to roll a d20.
Me?
Yes, sir. Okay.
14.
You, as you're driving, you hit a bump, and a whole panel of the vehicle's armor falls off and flips and nearly shears the top of the chariot off. You had just a moment to react to this, Auri, as this piece of metal is coming straight at you. I need you to make a dexterity check. Or an acrobatics check. Okay. Auri, you are just able to sort of limbo your way back, arching your back, just as this passes over you. This chunk of metal flies over and past, and it's gone. Now the two of you are neck and neck, racing towards the finish line. And you barrel over the finish line. And you hear this uproarious sound as Bo calls out, "Impossible! We haven't had a tie ever! This is ridiculous! It's amazing! Did you see that?" And he's now looking towards the crowd now, as you both passed over the finish line at the exact same time. Crowd is roaring. Your companions are calling out, yelling. You can all see now this other individual was on the bike is the half-orc that you all saw in the tavern last night. As he pulls his helmet off, you can see the shaved head down the middle of his head and the Wolverine-like hair that streaks back, which is now soaking wet and mangled. And he's laughing and cheering and raising his arm up, and now he's pointing to you, Zito, and to you, Auri. And he's saying, "Yeah!" Each of your friends watching as you're all rushing down from the stands. Zito is covered in mud and muck. Auri, you are completely soaked as well from the water casting up and splashing you. The crowd is rushing, something they've never seen before. They've never seen a tie in this race. And you can all hear the sounds of the crowd as they scream and cheer. And that's where we're going to end for tonight.
Woo! We didn't die.
Came close. If it wasn't for some of those rolls. And that if you rolled really bad on that mishap table, that would have been really bad.
But we survived. We tied for first, so there's that.
That is true. And we'll see what happens, what that means exactly the next time we play.
Don't worry, guys. If he gets half the award, me and Eli.
Oh, he disappeared. All I heard is if
What
he.
about you and Eli?
I said if the other guy gets half the reward, Eli and I will go kill.
Yeah, that was our spot.
Well, it's been an interesting adventure so far.
You think so?
I think so, yes. I'm actually having fun playing a character that's not I can beat anything all the time, and it's more I'm afraid of everything.
Yeah.
Very outside of my element. I'm enjoying it.
Well, I'm glad.
Jeremy, I cannot express to you how much I wanted to buy a music's guitar the other day. If I'd had $1,000 to spare, I would have spent it. I would have spent it that day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd have been in here playing that damn thing tonight.
Got to release an album, music's album. We'll put it on the YouTube channel or something.
Yeah. Don't tempt me. I've already got a professional Fruity Loops account. I don't know account, but a professional Fruity Loops license. I've got the mobile app installed. I've got the one on my computer installed. I can write music now. I just got to find the time to do it.
It's understandable.
I was using Serato Studio, but I was limited in the number of instruments I had. And it would let me use samples, but I'm not trying to write music with samples. I'm trying to, write my own music. So after I got rid of Serato Studio and switched over to Fruity Loops because it had more capability, it's a lot to take in. I've got to learn this entire program.
Yeah, I don't have a musical bone in my body. I can sing off tune and listen to music like just about anybody. So my hat's off to you, sir.
I originally wanted to go to school for music, but, my dad made a lot of money and I wasn't eligible for financial aid and nobody was sending me to college. And, I couldn't just sit around and wait. So I had to go get a job and find something else to do. But I did manage to get 3 years of music theory under my belt first, though.
That's so cool.
Nice. That's actually really impressive.
Yeah, I went to ECU.
Oh, by the way, for all of you who are here, I am giving you guys experience for sessions where you're not having encounters. So don't worry about that.
Okay. But yeah, I went to ECU for 3 years. I studied under a guy named Dr. Jarvis while I was there. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about music. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I guess I could actually sit down and write a couple songs for y'all sometime, like legitimate songs, and play them for y'all so you can see what I'm talking about. But I know enough about it to write music in key and write it in tune. And I know what notes go together, and I know how to write chords. I'm really good with chords, actually. But Jeremy, you heard that thing I posted on YouTube a while back. That was just me testing the program out and playing around with different stuff. And, the chord progression, everything was there, but it's not really a song per se.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit down and actually learn how to make a real one. Sit down and, I'm getting ahead of myself in my thoughts. Hold on. It's been so long since I've wrote a song. I don't want to write an 8-minute long Dream Theater song. I want to find me a simple template for a song and build off of that. Something more akin to pop music and how it lasts, because I honestly think that you can write a song between 2 minutes and 30 seconds to 3 minutes and be just as fine as writing some big 10-minute long, boring song.
If I might add in, it's probably a good idea to start off with basics in 3 minutes and 2.5 minutes and all that jazz, right? And just do simple song structure, because it's good practice. Most of the stuff that I play, most of the stuff that I write, they're not as much songs as they are just exercises.
Yeah. And, I was actually listening to popular music recently because I don't listen to a lot of pop music, but my son was listening to this guy named Little Pump the other day, and I despise him. But I noticed all of his songs were 2 minutes long and catchy as hell. And I was like, people really like listening to his songs because they're only 2 minutes long and really, really catchy. That's really all you need. You don't need, 10 minutes to express a musical idea.
There's a melody for all situations. And there's a melody that's only 2 minutes long that's catchy, you know what I mean? It just depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like there's a melody for a tavern, right? You can work on that. There's melodies for the road. You can work on that. There's melodies of danger, and you can work on that too.
And see, the problem I'm having right now is I keep getting caught up in a loop where I'll write me a nice drum beat and I'll throw a nice melody to it, or I'll get a nice bass line, a nice melody built off of it, get my counter melody in there. I'll have a bridge in there, and then I want to write additional stuff, and I keep wanting to build on it and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm having a hard time just letting it go and saying, okay, that sounds pretty good, because I just keep wanting to get, I'm trying to write a masterpiece right out of the box, and it's not that I think I can. I know I can't. It's just that I'm wanting to. So I just keep building, and I don't ever go anywhere with it.
It's like getting almost caught up in wanting to make it perfect, and like that gap between like expectation versus reality versus where do you, yeah, is that kind of it?
That's what I mean when I say create your exercises. Because once you have those exercises, those loops, those catchy little things that you have, then you can start thinking about songs. Or when you're writing a song a year from now, right? You can pull out your you can pull them out from your briefcase. You know what I mean? And just change up the scale a little bit or the progression to match what you're doing. I do
And
that constantly.
that's exactly what I was thinking. I need to sit down and start writing down musical ideas that I have and things I like, and start saving loops and naming them. And then instead of taking somebody else's loop and trying to put it in there, or taking a sample from somebody else, I've already got my own library of loops that I can reference.
I found this really cool file in one of my old flash drives. It's music I wrote back from 2012, and I was listening to it the other day, and some of it's really good. Some of it I don't even remember writing. Like I have no idea how I'm doing it. It's really good, and it's like I tried recreating some of it on my guitar, but unfortunately, that was back when I had like this little like one of the songs I wrote. It was on a small little kid's guitar, so the tuning was all messed up and everything, and it just doesn't sound the right way. This really sucks.
And that's another thing. I've got a nice guitar set up here at the house, and I wish I could interface it with my computer and start recording from it. But I haven't bought the stuff to do that yet. Currently, I've got a Fender Strat. I've got a Randy Rhodes Jackson. I've got a Ibanez. Basically, it's a Ibanez Les Paul copy, but it's a really good one. And I've got a Dean Super Strat, and I'm running that through a 4x12 cabinet with a orange Dark Terror amp right now, and it sounds really good. But I need to find a way to actually start getting that to digital file so I can work with it.
I think what I did, I think I ended up having a bass at one point, and I ended up getting this little adapter for my phone that I plugged into the bottom. But one of the songs I listened to from 2012 was a bass. I don't remember getting that bass to work is the thing, but apparently I did. And I remember plugging an electric guitar into my phone, and it must have been the bass. Anyways, my memory's really bad. And I had I did everything through my phone. So there's a way to do it through your phone too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, because I've got Fruity Loops installed on my phone right now. I've got a lot of capability there. I just got to sit down and figure it all out.
And you can get like inputs for your computer to plug it right into. And again, it's they're like $5. They're not very expensive. It's just a guitar cable thing to a headphone jack. It's quarter inch to 3.5 millimeter.
Well, see, I've got one of those, but it has latency in it whenever I use it. I was actually looking at something where I could use my Type C connector on my laptop and interface with that. I figured it would be a lot faster.
It might be, but latency isn't really an issue if you're just pre-recording.
That is true. That's very true.
It doesn't matter when it begins and when it ends, because you're just going to be taking it and cutting, like dissecting it and looping it anyways.
Something tells
that's a
me
good
that
point.
Speeding it up, or slowing it down, or just like morphing it.
I predict a collaboration between Kevin and Adam in the near future.
Do it.
I warn you, Kevin, I hate musicians. I grew up in a family of musicians, so I just don't like them. Their egos so big. So big.
Dude, I feel you on that. I would rather just write something and give it to somebody else to remix instead of actually trying to collab with somebody. I played in several bands, and I went out on tours, like, small little tours around the area. And they were out there trying to hook up with all these girls, and they're drinking all the time. And the whole time I was out there with them, the whole thing just felt really gross to me, because I was a classical musician. I wasn't really playing in bands. And then when I got out there and started playing in bands, I was like, wow, this really sucks. I don't like this at all.
Just depends on what you're doing. Like for me, I grew up in and out of bars as a child, so my brother is still a very talented musician. I played bass in one of his bands for a little while. I then went in and played bass in this other really shitty band of my own, and I did it just because I was a rebellious little shit. We were called Good Guys Wear Wolf. really bad band, but had a lot of fun. But whenever I went to like when I was being a roadie for Andy, my older brother, not a groupie. I didn't sleep with the guy. But when I'd sometimes jump in and play a set on bass and stuff like that, and I have a hard time battling stage fright. Not just stage fright, but I had a hard time battling performing to people in front of people in bar scenes when they're all getting wasted. And I don't know if I was intimidated, what all the factors were, if it was just my anxiety or what. But I didn't enjoy it. In fact, I always dreaded it.
Yeah, when whenever I did anything outside of classical music and marching band and stuff like that, I didn't like it. I did like playing in the big bands, but I won't lie. Even when I started playing in like big concert bands and stuff like that, the like at the time I was playing a bass trombone, and there were other trombone players up there, and those guys were like so cutthroat. They were always back and forth fighting over who was the best, and they're extremely competitive. And I'm over there sitting next to the tuba players, which surprisingly, tuba players are always pretty chill. They didn't fight like that. But it was, it's, I've noticed that musicians tend not to like each other across the board. They're always very competitive with each other.
I hate musicians. I've done so many, like I've played with a lot of different people. I like playing with my older brother. That was always something I really enjoyed doing. It's really cool. Me and my older brother, we could come up behind each other while like someone's playing guitar, and I could like just start tapping his fingers or his fretboard, and we do some really cool stuff.
That does sound cool.
Yeah.
Now, when I played in the drum and bugle corps, I did that for 2 years after high school, and that was really cool. I enjoyed the experience, but it was very all that competitiveness was like 10 times there because you could challenge people for positions at any time.
Seems like it just keeps the cream of the crop on top.
It does, but there's a lot of very angry people out there, that really, really hate each other sometimes.
Speaking of people hating each other, do you think that the group will ever get back together again? And by group, I mean any musical group. Seems like many of the ones that I used to like, they just kind of fade away and fall away.
Motley Crue did.
Hey man, Kinks made it.
True.
The Kinks used to like terrorize each other up on the stage during their shows. Two brothers and the drummer and shit, and they had like they had some of the worst shows in history. And why?
Kinks is my dad's favorite band, so I was
really
heard it from him.
No, it's just they're notorious for being real shitheads. But they learn how to work with each other because they were making so much money.
Well, if the lead singer for Megadeth, Dave Mustaine, can get back on stage with Metallica and play with them, I'd say there's a chance any band can get back together, unless they have someone dead.
My older brother opened for Dave Mustaine.
Nice. Did he?
Band that never had Johnny Dragon in
He
it.
met him and he had backstage pictures with him. And I every now and then, I don't talk to my older brother anymore because he's an idiot. But he always tells the story. Dave Mustaine liked his licks.
That's impressive because Dave's kind of an asshole when it comes to critiquing people.
Yeah, he is.
I guess. I don't know. I never met the guy, so.
He's very, very critical.
Speaking of stories, is everybody back yet?
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just sitting down now.
Okay. All right. Well, if we are all back, we can get back to it. Sorry. I feel like there's another podcast should spring up out of the ether between you guys and anybody else who wants to, and you guys should record like a music podcast.
I don't know. I'm a musician. He already told me he hates me.
Oh, man.
That's true. It would never work out.
Yeah, we don't really like each other. We're just, together for the sex.
Oh, boy.
basically. Not even that at the moment. So shame on you.
And then one for lack of offering.